There is something within you that has never been broken, never been diminished, never been less than whole. It existed before anyone spoke your name. It was present before a single opinion about you was formed. It was there before you succeeded, and it was there before you failed. And that presence, that silent, radiant awareness has never once questioned its own worth. Only the voice of doubt has done that. Only the conditioned mind has whispered that you are not enough. You do not lack potential. You lack belief in yourself. And belief is not something you must manufacture. It is something you must uncover. From the moment you entered this world, you were immersed in a sea of labels: good, bad, smart, slow, capable, limited. And over time, these labels formed a shell around your true nature. The ego began to take shape, that false self that believes it must prove, compete, defend, and compare. The ego says, I am what I achieve. I am what others think of me. I am my history. But the soul whispers something entirely different. The soul says, I am. Just that. I am. Not I am successful. Not I am worthy if. Not I am better than. Simply I am. Infinite, creative, connected. When you forget this, you begin to measure your potential by external evidence. You say, when I see results, then I will believe. But life does not work that way. The universe responds to your vibration, not your resume. It responds to your inner conviction, not your outer validation. If you plant a seed and dig it up every day to check its progress, it will never grow. Yet this is what we do with ourselves. We plant a dream and then suffocate it with doubt. Belief is the sunlight of the soul. Without it, even the richest soil remains dormant. You were not created to live in hesitation. You were not designed to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. The same intelligence that orchestrates galaxies orchestrates your heartbeat. The same force that paints the sunrise breathes life through you. Do you think that force would create something inadequate? Do you believe the divine makes mistakes? The oak tree does not question whether it has the potential to become tall. The river does not hesitate before flowing toward the sea. Nature does not doubt itself. It simply expresses its essence. And you, as an expression of this same universal intelligence, are meant to do the same. But somewhere along the way, you learn to disconnect from your source. You began to believe the story of limitation. Perhaps someone told you that you were unrealistic. Perhaps you tried and failed and decided that failure defined you. Perhaps you compared your beginning to someone else's middle and concluded you were behind. Yet the truth remains unchanged. You are not your past performance. You are not your mistakes. You are not the fears that arise in your mind. You are the awareness observing those fears. And awareness has no limits. The problem is never potential. Potential is inherent. Potential is your birthright. The problem is identification. When you identify with your doubts, you shrink. When you identify with your fears, you freeze. When you identify with your ego, you compete for scraps in a universe of abundance. The ego thrives on comparison. It says, look at them. They are further ahead. They are more talented. But comparison is the thief of divine expression. When you compare, you forget that there is only one you. And the universe did not duplicate you for a reason. Your gifts are not meant to mirror someone else's. They are meant to complete the symphony of existence in a way only you can. Belief begins when you stop asking, am I good enough? And start declaring, I am here for a reason. You do not have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. You do not have to guarantee the outcome to begin the journey. Faith is not blind optimism. Faith is alignment. It is the quiet certainty that when you act from your highest self, the universe rearranges to meet you. Think of the times you felt most alive. It was not when you were proving yourself. It was when you were being yourself. When you lost track of time because you were immersed in something meaningful. When you felt connected to something larger than your individual concerns. That state is not accidental. It is your natural state. When you lack belief in yourself, you outsource your power. You wait for permission. You wait for applause. You wait for certainty. But certainty is a myth created by the ego to delay your greatness. Life is not meant to be controlled. It is meant to be trusted. Trust does not mean there will be no obstacles. It means you understand that obstacles are part of the unfolding. The caterpillar does not interpret the cocoon as imprisonment. It is transformation. And what you call limitation may be preparation. Imagine if you stopped telling yourself the story of insufficiency. Imagine if you no longer rehearsed every possible failure before you began. Imagine if, instead of asking, "What if I fall?" you asked, "What if I fly?" Belief is not arrogance, it is remembrance. It is remembering that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. It is remembering that your essence is not defined by temporary conditions. It is remembering that your worth is not on trial. When you truly believe in yourself, you are not trying to dominate life. You are cooperating with it. You move with intention, but without desperation. You act with courage, but without attachment. You give your best and release the outcome. This is inner freedom. The moment you detach from the need to be validated, you step into your power. The moment you stop negotiating with your fears, you reclaim your energy. The moment you realize that your thoughts are choices, you understand that your life is a reflection of those choices. Change your thoughts, and you change your experience. If you continuously affirm, "I am limited," you will find evidence to support that belief. The mind is a brilliant servant, but a terrible master. It will obey whatever instruction you repeat. So instruct it wisely. Tell yourself, "I am capable. I am guided. I am supported," not as empty affirmations, but as truths waiting to be embodied. And when doubt arises because it will, do not fight it. Observe it, witness it as a passing cloud in the vast sky of your awareness. You are not the cloud, you are the sky. The sky does not resist the storm. It allows it, knowing it will pass. So allow your fears to pass. Allow your insecurities to dissolve. Do not cling to them as identity. They are visitors, not residents. Belief grows in silence, in stillness, in the quiet moments when you disconnect from the noise of the world and reconnect with the wisdom within. Meditation is not an escape, it is a return. It is a remembering of who you are beneath the chatter. And who you are is enough. You are not here to imitate, you are here to originate. You are not here to seek approval. You are here to express divinity in form. The world does not benefit from your conformity, it benefits from your authenticity. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you will wait forever. Readiness is a decision, not a condition. Belief is a practice, not a personality trait. Start small. Speak up when your voice trembles. Take one step when your legs feel uncertain. Create when inspiration nudges you. Each action taken in faith strengthens your inner conviction. And understand this: failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of it. Every setback refines you, every challenge deepens you. You are not being tested to prove your worth. You are being shaped to reveal it. When you look at your life from a higher perspective, you see that every experience has contributed to your expansion. Nothing has been wasted. Even your doubts have led you here to this moment of awakening. The question is not whether you have potential. The question is whether you will stop denying it. The universe does not respond to who you pretend to be. It responds to who you truly are. So remove the mask, release the comparison. Let go of the narrative that you are behind or unqualified or too late. There is no competition in authenticity. There is no scarcity in purpose. Your life is not a race against others. It is a journey toward alignment with your highest self. And alignment begins with belief. Not belief that you will never stumble, but belief that you are more than your stumbles. Not belief that life will be easy, but belief that you are equipped for whatever arises. You are equipped because you are connected to the same intelligence that spins planets and orchestrates seasons, connected to a field of infinite possibility that responds to your intention. So intend boldly, dream without apology, act without shrinking, and when the voice of doubt returns, as it inevitably will, smile at it. Thank it for trying to protect you, and then gently remind it that you are no longer living from fear, you are living from faith. Because you do not lack potential, you lack belief, and belief is within your control. In this very moment, you can choose a new thought. You can choose a new identity. You can choose to see yourself not as a collection of past events, but as a living expression of infinite possibility. Close your eyes and feel that truth. Feel the quiet power within your chest. Feel the steady rhythm of your heart, a reminder that life is flowing through you without effort. You do not have to force your existence. You simply have to trust it. Trust that you are guided. Trust that you are supported. Trust that you are here with purpose. And then act accordingly. Live as though your presence matters, because it does. Speak as though your voice carries value, because it does. Create as though your ideas are needed, because they are. The world does not need another copy. It needs you, fully expressed. So step forward, not with arrogance, but with assurance. Not with ego, but with essence. Not to prove, but to embody. You were never meant to doubt your light. You were meant to shine. And shining does not mean standing on a stage for the world to applaud you. Shining means allowing the light of your true nature to illuminate your own path first. It means waking up each morning and remembering that you are not here to compete with the sun. You are here to remember that the same radiance lives within you. There is a quiet tragedy in a life lived beneath its potential. Not because the world misses out, though it does, but because the soul feels the ache of suppression. When you deny your gifts, when you silence your intuition, when you shrink to fit into spaces too small for your spirit, you feel it. It shows up as restlessness, as envy, as a subtle dissatisfaction that no external achievement can soothe. That ache is not a flaw, it is guidance. It is your inner being whispering, there is more for you. Not more possessions, not more applause, more expression, more authenticity, more alignment. You see, the ego says, when I achieve enough, then I will believe in myself. But the soul says, when you believe in yourself, achievement becomes a natural byproduct. The order matters. Belief precedes manifestation. Conviction precedes creation. Every invention, every masterpiece, every breakthrough in human history began as an invisible idea held by someone who chose to believe before there was evidence. If they had waited for proof, nothing would exist. The airplane was imagined before it flew. The symphony was heard internally before it was performed. The cure was envisioned before it was discovered. Creation always begins in consciousness, and your life is no different. When you continually rehearse thoughts of inadequacy, you are creating from a field of limitation. When you rehearse thoughts of possibility, you are creating from a field of expansion. The universe is impartial. It mirrors your dominant vibration. It does not judge whether your beliefs are empowering or destructive. It simply reflects them. So ask yourself gently, honestly, what have I been believing about myself? Have you been telling yourself that you are too old, too late, too inexperienced, too damaged, too ordinary? These are not facts, they are interpretations. And interpretations can be changed. You are not too late. Time is not your enemy. Time is a dimension through which your consciousness moves. And in every moment, you have the opportunity to begin again. The past has no power except the power you give it. It cannot reach forward and stop you. Only your attachment to it can do that. Let go of the narrative that defines you by what has already occurred. The oak tree does not identify as the acorn it once was. It does not cling to the memory of being small. It expands because expansion is its nature. Expansion is your nature as well. When you release the belief that you are fixed, that your abilities are static, that your personality is permanent, that your destiny is predetermined by old experiences, you open yourself to growth. The soul is dynamic, it is creative, it is forever evolving, and you are an expression of that evolving consciousness. There is no ceiling on your potential except the one constructed by doubt, and doubt is learned. As children, we reach for everything. We attempt to walk without knowing how. We speak without fearing embarrassment. We imagine without questioning practicality. Belief is natural in childhood. Limitation is taught. Somewhere along the way, someone said, be realistic. And what they often meant was adopt my fears. But realism without vision is simply conformity. Vision is what moves humanity forward. You were not born to inherit someone else's limitations. You were born to discover your own possibilities. Belief in yourself is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to the unconditioned self that existed before doubt took root. It is about remembering the fearless curiosity, the creative impulse, the inner knowing that guided you before the world's opinions grew louder than your intuition. Your intuition is still there. It speaks softly. It does not shout over the noise of comparison and criticism. It waits patiently for you to become still enough to hear it. And when you do, it will guide you with a clarity that logic alone cannot provide. Logic has its place, but logic is limited to what has already been proven. Intuition opens the door to what has not yet been imagined. When you choose belief, you are not denying practical steps. You are empowering them. You are saying, I trust that as I move forward, clarity will come. And it does. One step reveals the next. Not because you control the entire path, but because you participate in its unfolding. There is a beautiful paradox in this. The more you trust, the less you force. The less you force, the more you align. And the more you align, the more effortlessly life flows. Struggle often arises not from lack of potential, but from resistance to your own greatness. It feels safer to doubt than to risk discovering how powerful you truly are. If you never fully try, you can always blame circumstance. But if you step fully into your potential, you must release excuses. You must claim responsibility for your creative power, and that can be terrifying. Yet within that responsibility lies freedom. When you realize that your thoughts shape your experience, you are no longer a victim of external conditions. You become a co-creator with the universe. You understand that while you cannot control every event, you can always choose your response. And your response is where your power resides. Belief in yourself is the decision to respond with faith rather than fear. It is waking up and choosing to think thoughts that elevate rather than diminish. It is speaking to yourself with compassion rather than criticism. It is treating your dreams as sacred rather than frivolous. Your dreams are not random. They are clues. They are whispers from the deeper self pointing you toward expansion. When you dismiss them, you are dismissing guidance. Listen instead. If a vision continues to return to you, if a desire persists despite obstacles, there is meaning in that persistence. The soul does not repeat itself without purpose. The call you feel is not accidental. It is an invitation, and invitations require acceptance. You accept by acting, not recklessly, not impulsively, but courageously. You begin where you are. You use what you have. You take the step that feels aligned, even if it feels small. Small steps taken in belief become extraordinary journeys. And as you walk this path, something remarkable happens. Your confidence does not come from achievement alone. It comes from integrity, from knowing that you honored your inner guidance, from knowing that you did not betray your own potential out of fear. That kind of confidence cannot be taken from you. It is rooted in alignment, not applause. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments of uncertainty. But uncertainty does not mean you are on the wrong path. It means you are growing. Growth stretches you beyond familiarity, and unfamiliar territory can feel uncomfortable. Yet discomfort is not danger. It is expansion. Trust the expansion. Trust that the same intelligence that guides the migration of birds and the blooming of flowers is guiding you. You are not separate from that intelligence. You are an expression of it. So when doubt arises, return to that truth. Place your hand on your heart and remember, I am connected, I am supported, I am capable of more than I have allowed myself to believe. Let that remembrance become your foundation. You do not lack potential. You have always been potential in motion. What you have been missing is not talent, not opportunity, not destiny. It is the unwavering decision to believe that you are worthy of expressing what already lives within you. Make that decision now. Not tomorrow when you feel braver. Not next year when circumstances improve. Now, in this breath, in this awareness, choose to see yourself as the universe sees you. Whole, creative, powerful, necessary. And then live from that vision. Because when you finally believe in yourself, you stop waiting for life to begin. You realize it has been waiting for you all along. There is a quiet law operating in your life at this very moment, a law as certain as gravity and as intimate as your own breath. And it whispers this truth: what you appreciate, appreciates. What you bless, increases. What you hold in reverence expands in your hands like a seed meeting sunlight. Gratitude is not a polite social response, it is a spiritual technology. It is the art of aligning your inner world with the infinite intelligence that created galaxies and also shaped the curve of your fingerprint. When you begin to see your life through the lens of gratitude, you are no longer begging the universe for more, you are collaborating with it. So many people wake up each morning scanning their lives for what is missing. They measure themselves against others, against headlines, against expectations inherited from parents, teachers, and culture. The ego is a master accountant. It keeps a ledger of lack. It tallies what you don't have, who you are not, where you haven't yet arrived. It says, when I get there, then I will be happy. When I have that, then I will feel secure. But the soul does not operate in the currency of someday. The soul only knows now. And in this moment, right now, there is breath moving through your body. There is a heart beating without your command. There is consciousness aware of itself. That alone is miraculous. Gratitude begins when you shift your attention from what is absent to what is present. It is the sacred act of noticing the warmth of sunlight on your skin, noticing the sound of your own laughter, noticing that you have survived every storm that once convinced you that you wouldn't. When you truly notice, you enter into communion with life. And in that communion, you realize something extraordinary. You have never been separate from the source of all that is. The ego insists that you are a fragment, a body competing for limited resources. It whispers fear. It tells you that if someone else succeeds, you lose. It tells you that love must be earned, that abundance is scarce, that the world is a battlefield. But the spiritual self, the divine presence within you, knows that you are not a fragment. You are a wave on the ocean of infinite possibility. And a wave does not need to fight the ocean for water. It is made of it. When you practice gratitude, you dissolve the illusion of separation. You begin to see that everything you have is not random. It is a reflection of your vibration. Your thoughts are not idle. They are energetic blueprints. When you think in terms of scarcity, you broadcast scarcity. When you dwell in resentment, you magnetize more reasons to resent. But when you dwell in gratitude, you send out a signal that says, I recognize the abundance that already surrounds me. And the universe, which responds not to your words, but to your frequency, answers, yes, more of that. You may say, but my circumstances are difficult. There are bills, there is illness, there is uncertainty, and I would never dismiss your pain. Gratitude is not denial. It is not pretending that everything is perfect. It is the conscious decision to anchor yourself in what is life-giving rather than what is life-draining. Even in the midst of challenge, there is something to bless. There is resilience. There is a lesson. There is an opportunity to grow beyond the version of yourself that the difficulty is trying to dissolve. Think of the soil. Before a seed can sprout, it must be buried. It must sit in darkness, in pressure, in conditions that appear hostile. And yet, within that darkness, something sacred is happening. The seed is breaking open. It is surrendering its old form to become something larger. Your hardships are not punishments. They are invitations. And gratitude is the light you shine into the soil of your experience, allowing growth to occur. When you are grateful for what you have, you shift from being a victim of circumstance to being a co-creator of reality. You begin to understand that the external world is a mirror. If you look into a mirror and do not like what you see, you do not smash the glass. You adjust yourself. Gratitude is that adjustment. It is the inner transformation that alters the reflection. There is an ancient teaching that says the kingdom of heaven is within you. It does not say it will arrive when you accumulate enough possessions. It does not say it will appear when everyone approves of you. It says it is within. And what is heaven but a state of awareness in which you recognize the sacredness of existence? When you are grateful, you enter that kingdom. You taste heaven now, not later. Gratitude softens the heart. It dissolves resentment. And I've often said there are no justified resentments. When you hold on to resentment, you are drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Gratitude is the antidote. It does not excuse harmful behavior. It releases you from the bondage of carrying it. When you can find something, anything to be thankful for in every relationship, even the painful ones, you reclaim your power. You say, this experience shaped me. It strengthened me. It clarified what I value. And in that declaration, you free yourself. You are not here to hoard experiences. You are here to expand through them. And expansion occurs when you align with appreciation rather than complaint. Notice how heavy complaint feels in your body. Notice how your shoulders tense, how your breath shortens. Now notice how gratitude feels. There is lightness, there is openness. Your physiology shifts, your nervous system calms, your cells respond. This is not abstract philosophy. It is embodied truth. Your body listens to your thoughts. Imagine beginning each day not with a list of obligations, but with a silent acknowledgement. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this opportunity to love. Thank you for another chance to serve. That simple practice recalibrates your entire being. It tunes you to a higher frequency. And from that frequency, inspired action emerges. You make different choices. You speak differently. You treat people differently. And those differences compound. The world you inhabit is not fixed. It is fluid. It responds to consciousness. When you become conscious of the blessings already present, you activate the law of attraction in its purest form. You are not attracting from desperation. You are attracting from sufficiency. There is a profound distinction. When you say, I will be grateful when I have more, you are affirming lack. When you say, I am grateful now, you affirm abundance. And abundance multiplies. Consider the sun. It does not choose where to shine based on who deserves it. It radiates because that is its nature. When you cultivate gratitude, you become like the sun. You radiate appreciation not because everything meets your preference, but because you understand that radiance is your essence. And in that radiance, you draw experiences that resonate with your light. You are already enough. Not because of what you own, not because of your achievements, but because you are an expression of divine intelligence. Gratitude is the recognition of that inherent worth. It is saying, I honor the life moving through me. And when you honor life, life honors you. There is a story of a man who searched the world for treasure, traveling across continents, enduring hardship, only to discover that the treasure had been buried beneath his own home all along. This is the human condition. We chase fulfillment in distant places while overlooking the miracle of our own existence. Gratitude brings you home. It reveals that the treasure has always been here. You cannot simultaneously be in a state of gratitude and in a state of fear. The two vibrations are incompatible. Fear constricts, gratitude expands. Fear focuses on loss, gratitude focuses on presence. And what you focus on grows. If you focus on what you fear losing, you amplify anxiety. If you focus on what you cherish, you amplify peace. Make it a discipline, not a fleeting emotion, but a way of being. When something delights you, say thank you. When something challenges you, say thank you for the lesson. When you look in the mirror, say thank you to the body that carries your soul. When you encounter another human being, silently acknowledge the same divine spark within them. This is how you transform ordinary moments into sacred encounters. The ego will protest. It will say, this is naive, this is unrealistic. But the ego thrives on dissatisfaction. It needs you to feel incomplete so that it can continue its endless quest for validation. The soul, however, is content in the now. It knows that you are not defined by possessions or status. You are defined by awareness. And awareness steeped in gratitude becomes magnetism. When you are grateful for what you have, you send a message to the universe, I trust. Trust is the foundation of attraction. It says, I do not need to control every outcome. I align with the intelligence that orchestrates seasons and tides. And in that trust, you relax, you allow, you receive. Abundance is not merely financial. It is relational. It is emotional. It is spiritual. A grateful heart attracts supportive relationships because people are drawn to those who see beauty rather than deficiency. A grateful mind attracts creative ideas because it is not clogged with complaint. A grateful spirit attracts synchronicities because it is attuned to subtle guidance. Look back over your life. Notice the moments when something unexpected unfolded in your favor. A chance meeting, a sudden opportunity, a solution appearing just when you needed it. Those are not accidents. They are evidence of alignment, and alignment is sustained through appreciation. You are a divine being having a human experience. You chose this incarnation not to accumulate grievances, but to remember who you are. Gratitude accelerates remembrance. It peels away the layers of egoic identity and reveals the luminous presence beneath. If you desire more love, be grateful for the love you have already known. If you desire more prosperity, be grateful for the resources currently available to you. If you desire deeper peace, be grateful for the moments of stillness that already exist in your day. In doing so, you affirm that you are not empty, you are unfolding. Let gratitude be your default setting. Let it be the lens through which you interpret events. When you do, you will notice something remarkable. life begins to feel cooperative rather than adversarial. Doors open, insights arise. You feel guided rather than abandoned. And one day, you will realize that the true gift was never the external accumulation. It was the internal transformation. It was the shift from seeking to recognizing, from demanding to appreciating, from scarcity to sufficiency. Be grateful for what you have, not as a strategy to manipulate outcomes, but as a sacred acknowledgement of the miracle already in motion. And as you do, you will attract more than you imagine, not because the universe is rewarding you, but because you have finally aligned with its nature. You are not separate from abundance. You are its expression. And when you live in gratitude, you step into the flow of infinite possibility, where blessings are not chased, but received. And as you step into that flow, something subtle yet profound begins to happen within you. You stop asking life, why is this happening to me? And you begin asking, what is this teaching me? That single shift transforms you from a passive observer into an awakened participant. Gratitude is not passive. It is an active engagement with existence. It is the realization that every moment, even the uncomfortable ones, carries a message designed for your expansion. When you are grateful, you are not shrinking your desires. You are elevating them. You are saying, I trust that what I have today is part of a greater unfolding. And trust dissolves urgency. It removes the frantic energy that often sabotages what you are trying to create. So many people attempt to attract abundance while internally declaring, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. That vibration pushes it further away. But when you say, I am thankful now, you enter the energy of completion. And from completion, creation becomes effortless. Imagine a garden. If you walk through it daily, complaining about what has not yet bloomed, you overlook the flowers already opening at your feet. But if you kneel down and admire even the smallest blossom, you nurture the entire ecosystem. Gratitude is nourishment. It enriches the soil of your consciousness. And in enriched soil, dreams take root. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to resonance. Gratitude creates resonance. It aligns you with the frequency of having rather than lacking. And when you vibrate at the frequency of having, you begin to notice opportunities that were always present but previously invisible to a mind clouded by dissatisfaction. There is a profound difference between ambition driven by ego and aspiration guided by gratitude. Ego-driven ambition says, I must prove myself. Gratitude-guided aspiration says, I am grateful for the gifts within me, and I will express them fully. The first exhausts you. The second energizes you. One is fueled by fear of not being enough. The other is fueled by joy in already being enough. And this is the secret. When you operate from joy rather than deficiency, you become magnetic. People are drawn not to your accomplishments alone, but to your presence. Presence rooted in appreciation feels safe. It feels expansive. It feels authentic. You cannot fake gratitude. It must be cultivated internally, like a quiet flame tended each day. Even in moments of profound loss, gratitude can coexist with grief. You can mourn and still be thankful for the love that was shared. You can experience disappointment and still be grateful for the clarity it brings. Gratitude does not cancel your humanity. It sanctifies it. It allows you to hold pain without becoming defined by it. There is an ancient wisdom that teaches, as within, so without. Your outer world mirrors your inner climate. If the inner climate is stormy with complaint and comparison, the outer world appears hostile. But when the inner climate is warmed by appreciation, even challenges feel like teachers rather than enemies. You begin to see patterns, synchronicities, subtle guidance woven into ordinary events. You may discover that the more you say thank you, the more there is to say thank you for. Not because circumstances instantly become perfect, but because your awareness sharpens. You start noticing small miracles, a kind word from a stranger, a solution arriving at the precise moment it is needed, a feeling of peace arising for no apparent reason. These are not trivial. They are confirmations that you are in alignment. Gratitude is a declaration of faith. It says, I trust the intelligence that beats my heart. You do not consciously command your heart to beat, yet it does. You do not instruct the sun to rise, yet it does. There is a divine orchestration operating beyond your control. When you are grateful, you acknowledge that orchestration. You relax into it. And in relaxation, resistance dissolves. Resistance is what blocks abundance. When you resist your current circumstances, you argue with reality. And arguing with reality is futile. Reality always wins. But when you accept and appreciate what is, you create space for transformation. Acceptance is not resignation, it is alignment. It is saying, this is where I stand. From here, I move forward. Notice how gratitude shifts your relationships. When you focus on what you appreciate about someone rather than what irritates you, the dynamic changes, energy changes. Often, the very traits that once frustrated you soften in response to your new perception. This is not magic. It is the law of reflection. People tend to mirror the energy you hold toward them. The same principle applies to your relationship with yourself. If you constantly criticize your shortcomings, you reinforce them. But when you appreciate your efforts, your resilience, your growth, you encourage further growth. Self-gratitude is not arrogance, it is recognition of your divine origin. You are not a mistake, you are an intentional expression of infinite creativity. The ego seeks external applause. The soul seeks internal alignment. Gratitude bridges the two. It allows you to enjoy external blessings without becoming dependent on them. You can celebrate success without fearing its loss. You can welcome prosperity without making it your identity, because you understand that the true source of abundance is not outside you, it flows through you. When you wake each morning, before your feet touch the ground, whisper gratitude, not as a ritual of superstition, but as a conscious alignment. Say, thank you for another opportunity to love. Thank you for another opportunity to learn. Thank you for another opportunity to serve. In that whisper, you program your consciousness for abundance. Over time, gratitude becomes less of a practice and more of a state of being. You no longer have to search for reasons. You live from the awareness that life itself is the reason. Breath is the reason. Consciousness is the reason. The simple fact that you can experience, feel, and reflect is reason enough. And as you deepen into this awareness, you begin to realize that attracting more is not about acquiring more objects. It is about expanding your capacity to experience wonder. It is about recognizing the sacred in the ordinary. When you see the extraordinary in the everyday, life responds with extraordinary experiences. The universe is not withholding from you. It is waiting for your alignment. Gratitude is alignment. It is the key that unlocks doors you did not even know existed. It is the gentle but powerful force that transforms lack into sufficiency and sufficiency into overflow. So be grateful for what you have. Be grateful not because someone told you it is the right thing to do, but because it is the doorway to freedom. It frees you from comparison. It frees you from envy. It frees you from the illusion that your happiness depends on future acquisition. In gratitude, you discover that you are already standing in abundance. And from that discovery, more flows naturally, not as a reward, but as a reflection. Because what you appreciate, appreciates. What you bless, multiplies. And what you hold in the light of awareness grows beyond what your imagination once considered possible. You are not chasing blessings. You are uncovering them. You are not begging for more. You are aligning with more. And in that alignment, you will attract more than you imagine, not because you finally earned it, but because you finally recognize that you were never separate from it.